Hey guys, Patrick John of EXP Realty, part of the Johnson Group here with Brandon Giebler from Next Move Realty. And if you guys live in the Savannah, Chatham County, Effingham area, and you care about what's going on, well, we got David Dillie on running for Georgia District 161 against Bill Hitchens. So stay tuned and join the conversation. But Brandon, before we bring him on, what's the one thing you think everybody is fired up about when they're coming to this chat?
I mean, I think they're fired up about getting their voice out and being able to communicate with the public on their end. And we're fired up about finding the answers to all the questions that we are left like, what's going on?
Absolutely.
Your local-
Absolutely. And we got Josh Giebler came on. Hello, what's up? Hello, y'all. It's here. Good to see you. Melissa Allen already had a question waiting in the wings for 7 hours. So we're going to have to get to that question for sure. She's still been waiting. Thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, guys. And did you guys know our show is connecting you with the decision makers out there or future decision makers, but you get an opportunity to get to know the candidates that are running. We got David Dillie on. We're really excited to have him. So, come on, ask questions, get in the chat. Let's see what you got.
And we're not sponsored. Nobody's paying us. We don't have endorsements. We just want to give you a voice. So here we are. So tonight's guest is the definition of working class, from aircraft mechanics to certified tradesmen, and now a candidate for Georgia House District 161. He was raised in a farming family and built his life through hard work and serving others. So from helping care for his brothers growing up to staying active in the foster care community, it's big right now, His story is rooted in showing up. So now he's looking to bring that same mindset to our district, which is great. Thank you very much. So let's welcome in David Dillie.
All right. Hey, David, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate y'all having me on.
Really, really appreciate you coming on. So for the people that don't know you, why don't you tell them about yourself and why you're running?
So, of course, like you said, I'm David Dillie. I'm running for District 161. So if you're in Port Wentworth, Guyton, South Guyton, Rankin, and New Pooler, that's my district. Yeah, there it is. Beautiful, ain't it? Yeah, it's also covers in the Gulf Stream, a little bit in Savannah Airport. Yeah. So it's a little bit of everything, and that's one big thing that we got to keep in mind here. But about me, I'm a welder. I do plumbing, like I said, aircraft certifications. I'm a foster care chamber of commerce. That's a big thing. I've been doing that for 4 years as a board member. Before that, I was just helping foster youth when I was 16 years old, was when my family got our first foster youth. And now I have about 30 foster cousins. I also have 2 special needs brothers. So it's a big part of who we are. My family's long history of service, from having the first farm union here to Effingham to being, long-term in the welfare, board member for the welfare sister for Effingham, and my great granddaddy did that, so we have a long history here in Effingham. So that was one of the big reasons I wanted to run. But a joke I kind of make was, I'm not going to lie, I actually asked my daddy to run first. My daddy's a veteran. He's a great guy. He's got multiple college degrees. Smart. He's one of the smartest men you could ever meet. The community loves him. He's a professional photographer, videographer. He's done stuff for Holly, So he's just a good guy all around. I said, Dad, you should do it. You should do it. You should do it. And he thought about it. I got him like 1% close to getting him to do it. And then my mother heard him saying, she was like, wait a minute. I'm not going to be a congressman's wife. Like, she's like, I'm not doing that. And so I was like, well, no, it's for how. She's like, I'm not having a politician. You know what I mean? So my mother was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not being a politician's wife. So I sat there one day and I said, I gave myself, it was back in November. So I got December 1st. I said, I'm going to make this call December 1st. I'm on my walk. I'm reading my Bible. And I just remember reading a verse. And my friend called me, and it was just like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So that was the decision making there.
What's your sign?
Yeah, it was my sign. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Wow. All right. Well, cool. Well, it sounds like some good causes that you've been working with. So, I have a special needs son myself, so I can understand. Yeah. Want to hit the chat real quick. Miss Baby Girl 1999 says they're excited for this conversation. Spartan D34 says, yo, Dan the Democrat here. Okay. Dan the Democrat. All right. So before we get on to the next question, we're going to play this video real quick. Here we go.
daily sound readings. I generally do the daytime readings, and then I'm up at night, so I do some late night readings.
Okay.
And we do a DBA and a DBC reading, which are different frequency formulations. DBA is for more like human audible. DBC allows more of the low frequency rumble that you can more feel. And I would just set it to the slow reading, change it to, this meter has an average, and we just wait 3 minutes and it gives an average, and that's what we record.
Okay.
Along with the temperature, if it's cloudy, is it raining or not, other factors just for data points.
So I'm hoping people can hear this on the video, but how do you describe the noise to people who don't live here?
If it were like a highway that never stops, we talk about, you listen to Prince William County Parkway, you hear that during the day, but at nighttime, you clearly hear it go down in volume because there's not as much traffic.
Right.
This is continuous. It is just inordinately loud. Some people have claimed, well, but it's just like a conversation that never stops, is in your bedroom, and you can never turn off. So it's not, 80 decibels, but it's constant.
It's constant. And this is the back of your deck.
Mm-hmm.
And
I just want to pause it for a second so you see no sound, and then this is his backyard.
building is behind those trees.
Just maybe 300-400 feet, 500.
It's like a low rumble, just
Yeah.
nonstop. Unbelievable.
Nonstop, Bill.
Don't be silly, vote for Dillie. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
it's been a big slogan for us.
So we're obviously starting out with like the big kicker that everyone is really concerned about right now is the data centers.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more talk about them coming to our area. So,
Yes. Yeah.
So
That's been an interesting one. So it's okay for the chat to hate me a little bit. I didn't realize. So they've been built for a while. So a lot of people don't realize they have been around for a long time. A lot of them have. I hate to say it, but I've built one in Ohio. Yeah, when I was doing pipe fitting. Well, they called it a computer center at the time. AI was barely just a thing. So they said, "Oh, it's just a computer center. They're putting computers here." All right, cool. I'm doing plumbing and pipe fitting. I don't know what's going here. At the end of the day, I was in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. So, like I said, my fault. And I like I said, if I knew I was building, I may or may not have done it. Now knowing the long-term ramifications for it, but
So
and I was making a paycheck just like everyone else. Yeah, I don't really understand why they're trying to bring them in here. I mean, I've seen the talks about them. Oh, it provides good jobs. It does all these great things, but like you're saying, our infrastructure can't really hold it in our area. That's one thing. A lot of people are like, oh, power grid shutdowns. And I was like, these are some of these like bigger communities. Ours is kind of small compared to some of these other ones across the country, let alone, like you're saying, the noise decibel. I'm like, that's number one. I remember them seeing, there's one I was watching in Texas where it's just screaming, 98 decibels, 24/7. I'm like, and you want to build this right in our backyards? What? I understand if like, okay, let's put it in the middle of nowhere. I'm not happy about it still, but at least it's not right in where neighborhoods are. I've never understood that. Like I said, when I built the one in Ohio, like I said, didn't know it was at the time, it was in the middle of nowhere forest. It was just a big warehouse. No one knew what it was for. And, and so it was just like, at least that was out of the way. It wasn't near the population, but this, I don't understand it myself.
I wonder how far would your setback? How far do you think would be a good setback line for people's like not in their backyards?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, of course, the land that it takes, the water that it takes, and I tell you the biggest concern I personally have, and like you should ask about distance wise. I mean, as far away from people as possible, but I said long term, my concern is if they're even going to be used. We're putting up all these major warehouses. A lot of people, they talk about the short term. I said long term. I said that's the one great thing about technology is it gets smaller. So we're building these massive data centers, and in 10 years they're going to be obsolete, and then we're stuck with a bunch of empty buildings.
I heard it's like 4 to 5 years obsolescence.
Yeah, like I said, even that, what I mean? Like some might keep them wrong, but that's what I'm saying is you're building all these giant things, unless the goal is to eventually turn it into another warehouse. I don't know. What I mean? Like, what I mean? Maybe that's the long-term goal. They're not telling everybody, but I've just never understood why. You know what I mean? Like I said, it doesn't really provide that many jobs. I've seen 80 to maybe 200. That's really not a lot compared to the ports, to Gulfstream, to, a lot of these manufacturing plants here that hire more than 200 people. So we're not really doing it for money. We're not doing it for that. And of course, Georgia has those state incentives, and that's been a problem. That's something I'm hoping to just slash. I'm like, why are we giving these companies, like I said, they're making millions of dollars. The federal government's doing most of these for them. Why are we doing it here as well? I just don't get it.
Well, speaking on that, we had a question from the chat or the Facebook group. Well, let me just pull it up so you can see it here. I think it was this one. Let's see. Okay, no. Well, that is. Can you please discuss the current state, county, and city incentives being offered to data centers in Georgia? I mean, do you know about the tax abatements and all that stuff? I mean, do you have any knowledge of it, or is it kind of?
I remember, like I said, there's always so much going on. Like I said, one of 100 different issues going on. The data centers, I remember hearing that they were offering billions of dollars of tax incentives to try to bring them here, try to put them in there. Of course, now a lot of them, now they've tried to put in these public areas. The public, of course, isn't really responding well, so they're putting them kind of more out in the foresty side of Georgia. They're putting them out more out west of the side of Georgia. I've heard they're trying to build a little more closer to Columbus, but yeah.
Rankin.
Yeah, Rankin's been another discussion too. Yeah, like I said, they're trying to build them a little further out, but because they need people to work at it. I get their idea, but it's just not good long term. It's not good short term. It does not benefit us at all. So like I said, unless the goal is a warehouse, or unless you're going to sell it back to the farmers so they can do it, inside growing, unless there's actually a long term thing with it, I just don't see it being good for us at all. Unless it's just supposed to be a quick job. Like I said, there's plenty of work around here. I promise nobody's hurting.
So are you pushing against them?
Yeah, no, I push heavily against them. Like I said, we've seen the water damage that it causes. We've seen the electricity, the grids. Like I said, unless they're about to spend billions and billions of dollars to upgrade Pooler, Port Wentworth, Rankin, unless you're going to put all this time, money, and energy, which at that point they're going to lose money. They're not doing that. They're hoping us taxpayers pay for it, and we're okay with it. We're not. We've seen that with the destruction with the tree. We've seen that with the destruction of our communities. Now they're like, oh, you guys don't have enough water. We're going to have to tear up. It's just a logistical nightmare, and I don't want it to be like I said. We've got 100 other problems to deal with in our community. This is just one at 101, and it's just a nightmare that our state just can't give it the attention that it needs.
Absolutely. All right, let me get to the chat here really quick. So Uma says, oh my God, yes, it's horrible all day long from 16 to 95, the sound. Hello, y'all says, because Georgia made it easier for them to come here, the legislature and local governments is a race to the bottom environmentally. Uma says our area does not have room. There is barely any land left in Pooler. And we're going to be talking about here shortly, Uma. Crystal Myers says we don't want and wants to hear we'll never stop trying to get over or get bigger and bigger and more and more. And hello, y'all says, well, who wins, housing developers or data centers? Because we're losing to both.
Oh my God.
There will be no natural land left.
Yep.
I totally agree. So one of the things, actually, I'm going to bring this up on the chat here. So hold on.
No, that's fine. I'm totally for it.
Some Facebook questions here. Hey, put in the chat some questions, guys, if you want any questions you want David to answer, because I'm just going to pull it from Facebook if not. So come on, guys. Here we go. So Amy says a lack of caring about homeowners, rezoning properties that were zoned as intended, overbuilding, poor ordinance that do not protect homeowners, greed, and too many rentals that do not have a stake in the community and ruin it for the homeowners. Stronger orders to protect the environment, natural habitats, biodiversity. So she's obviously upset about the overbuilding. So we're going to play this video real quick so we can talk about it.
This is a bad thing. This is a falsity.
The developer, Forest Places, unveiled early plans for a project called The District. It would cover more than 100 acres near Pooler Parkway and Pine Barren Road, featuring about 1,000 apartments, 400 hotel rooms, a grocery store, an amphitheater, gas stations, plus restaurant and office space.
You got a Costco and you got an outlet mall here, but not a sense of place, which is what we're really trying to bring. Live, work, play all in one place. That's really what we're here is to put the cards out and then hear what everybody has to say.
Pooler residents made sure they were heard, turning out in droves. Some cited concerns about traffic.
I don't believe that there's enough infrastructure, specifically the roadways, to support the additional cars driven by some 1,600 residents.
Developer Rob Forrest says the layout encourages less driving, more walking.
Try to get people out of the cars in bikes or e-bikes or anything else, but get people to stay and play.
So,
in this humidity in the summer, you want us to walk?
the biggest thing is, I think everybody's upset is because they're anything that's green, they just want to throw something there. At a state level, I know that the local area is about zoning and stuff, but incentives from the state is what brings businesses. So how do you balance that?
So one of the things, I don't know if it's a true statement, so please, don't use my quote, but I've heard there was a quote once said at one of the city council meetings. I think it might have been in private, but they said, any green left in Pooler, we're taking it out. Like, it should be having, and a lot of people feel like that. I mean, literally, like, that is something everyone's talking. Like, I don't know, they might not have said it, during the meeting, but it's definitely was said, because that's the action we're seeing.
We're going to show another clip of that, too.
Yeah.
So how do we stop the incentives from up top to where we don't just incentivize these builders to come in and just build all over the place?
This is a very, very complicated issue. And I hate to say, I wish I could say no. The biggest issue that a lot of people don't realize is, you guys are realtors, you guys probably heard it. We don't have enough houses or living apartments to hold what these companies want. Hyundai wants another 20,000 employees. Gulfstream by 2030 wants another 10,000 employees. These companies want to grow. I'm not saying I'm for the development of it, but that's what these companies want. So they're putting pressure on our elected officials. They're putting pressure on the state to try to get more housing built, more apartment complexes, more, these duplexes and condos. And that's, like I said, they're putting pressure on these officials to get this done because they need the employees to do it. And it's a toss-up between both. You know what I mean? Like I said, I want the people to feel as though the green areas are protected. I remember growing up, and something I'm really going to try to push for as elected officials going, when I'm driving through these neighborhoods, there's no parks built. I remember as a kid, every neighborhood, it was mandated to have a park. It was small or they were big and there were multiple of them. I go to these new houses, there's not a park anywhere. Or you have to drive, you have to go through, you have to drive to these parks. I remember I just walked the neighborhood park as a kid, I'd walk maybe a block and there was a park right there. I'd walk another block, there was a bigger park. And so that's something I'm really going to push down the throat is say every new development that's built in the state must include a 1 to 4 acre park, depending on certain zones, stuff like that. So at least one, we can try to get these parks back in these neighborhoods, but pushing back on development as a statewide official is going to be extremely difficult. There is some plans to try to get some new zonings done. One of the ones that I'm pushing for, there's 7 different agriculture zonings. One I'm trying to bring as well to add to that is homestead zoning. So everything from, half acre to 5 acre lots, you can actually get put as a homestead zoning. So you can have small animals, but small property, just trying to change different zonings to like add more incentives to just besides having, farmland and commercial and residential. That's, let's try to add some more, I guess you get diversity in this. So then every neighborhood's just built the same, every commercial site, everything. It's all copy and paste. And so that's a big issue that we're facing here. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how to fight back with these companies just yet, especially because they want to grow. Like I said, Hyundai's barely just getting started, y'all. Same with some of these other corporations. Like I said, the ports are growing even more. We know that. We see these warehouses going up. They're not going up because they can't do it. They know it's coming. And the only thing I've tried to think about is maybe pushing it towards South Carolina, but now it's just giving South Carolina the problem. Yeah, it takes away from us, but like I said, it's a lot of give and take. And I'm trying to learn. I'm going to these city council meetings. I'm attending, commissioner meetings, state meetings, trying to understand what is going on around here.
Oh, I get it. Pooler has parks.
Oh my gosh! Don't even. Yeah. Yeah. My neighborhood
park at a massive intersection.
That's about it. Yeah.
You're in the middle of a roundabout kind of intersection.
Yeah.
That's a park. Good job. Love that.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
I think the funniest park's the one on right next to 80. The one where it has a little red train on there and guiding. I'm like, I didn't know it was a park. I thought that was just like a statue. And I was like, no, that's a park. I was like, who is that?
A park.
It's a park. I'm like, who? I didn't realize. I was like, there's a little road you can get off. I was like, whatever, y'all.
That's a hurricane of sound.
Yeah.
Like you're in the middle of a hurricane of sound there.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, so before we get to the next video, which you're going to know this well, but let's play, or this next question, let's get to the next video. Here we go.
Morning, a massive chain reaction crash that brought traffic, as you can see here, to a standstill along I-95 during the height of morning rush hour. Also bottlenecking traffic on nearby I-16 and other roads. That crash near exit 102 at Pine Barren Road in Pooler, right by the I-16 interchange, shut down both directions of the interstate for hours. WJCL 22 News' Grace Rodriguez is live at the scene. And Grace, you've talked to drivers caught up in the backup.
Thanks, Shannon. They're all sharing in their frustration in that they were stuck for hours. Around 8 this morning, a vehicle crashed into a support beam for the Pine Barren Road overpass, triggering a chain reaction that involved 3 other cars. The impacts from this crash shut down both sides of I-95.
Who was caught in this traffic jam? Put it in the chat.
Officials say a vehicle hit a support column for the overpass, causing a chain reaction that pulled in 3 other cars and sending some spinning. I caught up with drivers at a nearby gas station who say the backup delayed their plans for the day.
I just come in and get my kid and head my way back to.
Yeah, that was something. One of my family members calling that. Yeah, it was. I heard it was pretty rough.
It was rough.
I remember seeing it on the news. Yeah, I remember also seeing all over Facebook. Who's stuck in traffic? Who's stuck in traffic? Yeah. It was a nightmare there.
Thank God I got to go over it and be like, that sucks.
Just wow, yeah, there it is.
So growth is obviously happening super fast in our areas like Port Wentworth, Pooler, Effingham, and the roads aren't keeping up. I hit a pothole every 30 seconds here in Quaco.
Yep.
So can y'all get on that, please? Traffic is getting way worse. I sat in traffic for 30 minutes to go 5 miles. And accidents are happening more and more often here, which we're seeing. So from the state level, what can you actually do to fix the traffic before it gets any worse than it already is?
So if you were to ask most people around here, they say just add another lane, add another lane, add another lane. Like that's usually the answer to everything, is just add another lane. It doesn't really solve anything, and that's what I try to tell people. I said the biggest thing that we really need to figure out as a state and as a city that's growing, it's not just on state level. I asked I can't mention his name, but my uncle, he's way up there in Georgia DOT. And I'd asked him, I said, well, what is going on? He said, you need to tell Pooler and Port Wentworth and Rincon to quit effing growing. You need to get constituents out to tell them to quit growing, because that's the only way. He's like, he works for, he's the one who draws these roads. And he's like, I can't make things happen. And that, or I have, one of the things when we kind of joked, I said, or we got to tear it all down and start all over. Because there ain't really an answer, and I hate to tell people, look, there's certain things we can try to increase public transportation that really doesn't exist here. And if these housing developments are coming, if these people are coming like these companies want, we're going to have some more public transportation. There's been discussions of an HOV lane to try to get more people to try to ride together, but that, like I said, it's small bites out of a larger problem. It's a very complicated hot mess. And what I'm telling most people, when they go to these meetings, let them know you're tired of these neighborhoods. Let them know that you're tired of these things coming, or we have to consider moving a lot of this land further back. Like I said, the joke is in my family, these were ones my great granddaddy and granddaddy drove tractors down, horse and buggy. These weren't roads that were meant to, most people tell you 30 years ago, Pooler was a gas station. This was never meant to be what it is now. And so we have to either decide as a community, not just me going, oh, we're tired of it. As a community, we have to say enough's enough, or it's just going to keep getting worse. They're going to throw more roundabouts, hoping it fixes it. They're going to try to maybe put an extra lane, squeeze an extra lane or two here. That doesn't really solve anything because you're still going 2. Just because you make a quarter mile of 3 lane didn't solve anything. And so the biggest thing I try to tell people is, one, public transportation, and we have to, as a community, tell them to stop. That's
we need
really
a roundabout lesson.
Yeah.
If we're going to do roundabouts, we need roundabout lessons, teach people how to operate in the roundabout. Yeah. Watching people drive around. It is supposed to fluctuate more smoothly, but everyone gets scared because it is something that most people, you're so used to stopping and then going, and now it's like we're having to retrain the last 30 plus years of driving for most people to not stop and just try to keep going. Yeah,
I'm going to tell you, I would think the citizens would love to stop a lot of the development that we've been talking about. It's not happening, but we're going to talk about that, so don't go anywhere. Keep your questions coming in. Let me hit the chat real quick. So Uma says, how do we stop development authorities?
Again, like I was saying, it's the community. That's really what's going on. Like I said, we were always talking about liberally. We're talking about it now. I've met with a few of these city county officials, county commissioners, and I'm like, what is going on, you guys? And they're just feeling the pressure. It's just so much. You know what I mean? Like I said, the lack of the community. Like I said, yeah, of course, we saw the one where the big event, when big stuff happens, the community comes out. But a lot of this is done small meetings, small. So, they kind of just pass it through without most of the community ever seeing it. A lot of this stuff was put in years ago. Like I said, they're finally bringing things, developments that were put in a year ago that nobody went against. So now they're here and everyone's surprised. So one, being more incorporated. Something I can do personally is go, hey, here's all the projects that are going on. My constituents have all called me and said they do not want this. I kind of make the joke. I said, if I go in there, I'm the voice of maybe 25 people. I still need another 25 in the room to make it 50. They're going to look at me. They're going to listen to what I have to say, as elected official. They're going to, okay, Dillie's making a good point. But if I don't have a community behind me while I'm fighting them, they're only going to take so much what I'm going to say. If I say, hey, look, the community wants to protect the park here, the canals, they're going to, okay, cool. Dillie's right. He's probably got a few people to call him. There's people upset, but there's not enough people here for us to really care. And so it's just, it's being there. It's being at these meetings, even though I know a lot of them can be boring. I've tried not to sleep through a few of them. But we have to stick together as a community to fight against this. Like I said, I could put stuff on the state officials. I could try to put more parks. I could try to say, hey, look, we got to calm down. We've got to take some of these incentives out. But like I said, the corporations want this just as much as the developers do. So it's a big problem going on. And I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure out ways we can fight this back.
Okay. Look into the chat real quick. Hello, y'all asked, will you work bipartisan in the state legislature?
Yeah, I always say a good idea is a good idea. I try to tell people, we're so focused on, the Republicans put this bill in place. Oh, the Democrats put this bill in place. We're just not going to pass it. It's a waste of time. I'm like, y'all, it's feeding kids in Georgia. Why is this a controversial bill? Oh, hey, look, let's try to make sure our rural hospitals say, the Democrats put it in place. We just can't do it. Oh, well, hey, let's try to, if it can show that it's actually going to help Georgians, I don't care who puts it in. I'm tired of just constantly fighting. Like I said, there's a joke that says 80% of Democrats and Republicans agree. It's just who wants the win and who wants to, and who wants what's going on. And so it's just a nightmare out there.
It's all theater. It's all political theater BS.
Yeah, it's political theater. And I'm like, y'all, what are y'all doing? Or they just don't care. Most of them just go over there. They say, cool. I don't know if it's true, but I always feel like they have a chart that says yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And that's what they just click, and they don't care what goes on after. I'm just, did you even read this bill? I don't know.
All right. Before we go on to the next question, we're going to play this video real quick. Here we go.
Jesus Christ.
Here's my bed. Yes, I do have a bed in here. That's because I didn't want to get rid of it. Shortest story ever told. This is the most important part. This is where I keep my bar. All of my bohemian clothes, all of my 50s pinup attire, my camping gear. By the way, does anybody want a free TV? Someone gave me this and they were walking by my storage and they were like, oh my God, all you need is a TV. And they literally just gave me this 52-inch. So if you want it, you pay for shipping and it's yours. So everybody wants to know how I have power in my storage unit. It's because of this portable power station that I mentioned 5 million times. I bring this everywhere I go. I need to blow dry my hair, flatten my hair, I need to charge my phone, whatever. This is what I use.
Yeah. That one's a rough one. Yeah.
So obviously housing affordability, everyone's feeling that, right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So what's one real policy at the state level that you think that would actually make it easier for people to buy homes here?
So this one's been, I've heard the controversies of it. I've heard the negatives, but one of the things I try to tell people is Georgians aren't paid enough. If I remember correctly, like I said, I'm doing, I said, I'm still learning as time goes on. We are one of the worst paid states in the country. There were more deep red states. Everyone says, oh, we're a red state. There's more deep red states that pay more than us. Everyone wants to say we're number one for business, but it's not, we're not number one for the people here. And so one of the big things I want to try to put more money in our pocket. It's one thing I've been really trying to push more for is, like I said, I'm not trying to, gouge small business. Everyone's like, oh, you're going to hurt the small businesses. I said, small businesses are paying $15+ an hour. I try to tell people, I said, it's the corporations that aren't paying their fair share. It's the ones that when Walmart has food stamps in their office going, oh, you know what I mean? It's just like, y'all, we're not paying people enough. And so you're sitting there, well, it's the housing affordability. But I said, that's one part of it. Someone who's built a lot of these houses, of course, there's some profits, and you guys know as well. Like I said, there's maybe $20,000-$30,000 profit in a lot of these houses. So these corporations, aren't trying to be the most greediest things. There's a few out there. I've seen ones that just try to sell a house, just to sell. I've seen ones take negatives on a house just to get it out. And so that's one thing. Like I said, people need more money in their pocket. One of the biggest things I'm really trying to push on, I'm still writing it out, is trying to figure out ways to lower our property taxes here so people can stay in their homes, be able to, because like I said, that's a big thing that people have been dealing with. But like I said, putting more money in Georgians' pockets. I can't sit and be like, I'm gonna, freeze the rent or try to do that. It's just gonna get shut down. A lot of people want to, let's just try to force them to bring it. I can't.
Yeah, that's smart.
Like I said, unless we somehow flip this state all blue, and maybe we could work on something, but I have to think about reality. And the biggest thing I could try to do is put more money in our pocket.
All right. Well, I love that. All right, let's get back to the chat. So Josh says, love your idea to push more parks. Uma says, I love his honesty. Nothing worse than a politician who has all the answers. Corey says, Dillie's a young and knowledgeable. How do you plan to connect the voters who may not traditionally vote Democrat but are open to hearing your message?
That was a good question.
I'm about to say, well, any questions? I said, don't be afraid. Like I said, I'll try the best answer I can. If I don't know it, I don't know it. But if I do, I'll give my spoon. You ask me something, scary, dangerous. It's all right. One day I'm going to have to answer these questions, whether it's here on the House floor. So,
Okay.
Rather here.
I'd rather get some practice before I go up there and make myself look like a fool.
So let me ask you a question, because Corey asked us, how do you plan to connect with voters who may not traditionally vote Democrat?
So the biggest issue that we're trying to figure out is Port Wentworth especially. It's a working class area. Most people work at the ports. They work Gulfstream. They work at the paper. It's been shut down. But, they're getting people out of there and trying to get these voters, look, I understand that this is a difficult day, especially, like Tuesday. I'm trying to get people out to early voting. There's not a whole lot of early voting sites. We just got the list. There's about 6. A lot of them are in Savannah. And, of course, there's the one in Rankin's, trying to get those people out there. But it's going, I'm not some big schmo Joe. I haven't retired. You know what I mean? I work the same day. Like I said, the 4 legislative days I'm up at the rest of the time. I'm going to be plumbing, welding. I'm not nobody fancy. And that's what I want you to realize. Decisions I make up there is going to affect us. And I try to tell people, I said, I hate to say it, but the people up there are old. They're old, y'all. And I said, the decisions they make will not affect them. I don't know if they know that, but I try to tell them, I try to remind them all the time, decisions you make will not affect you. I hate to say, you're not going to be here. And so the decisions I make, I'm going to feel the ratifications. I'm going to feel the negatives. I'm going to feel the positives. If I sign a bad bill, guess what? It's going to affect me 20 years from now. And so that's decisions I have to make as a younger person. But at the same time, try to think about the next generation, like the younger voters. Try to think about the working people going, look, we just want a little bit more money in our pocket. These people aren't asking to have mega mansions. They're asking when they see, the Georgia Power bill that they can afford it. When they're asking to see their water bill, their property taxes. They just want to be able to pay it and just have, just have a little bit extra, just to be able to go to the, go to the movies. These people aren't greedy. A lot of the people in the community try to make them out to be. These are good folk that just try their best. I'm gonna cry, y'all. Like I said, I've heard some sad stories. Obviously, oh gosh, y'all, this trail. I know, I really have. There's one couple I'd met. He's a kind of good friend of mine. He lives in Port Wentworth. He's a welder. He makes 18 an hour. He's still an apprentice. So he makes 18 an hour. His girlfriend works at Dollar General, and they're skating by. They just got enough to pay their rent. They say they lose their power at least every other month. If the water didn't shut off, I've helped them a few times. But this is the reality for a lot of young people, that they're just like, oh, you guys aren't working hard enough. And I'm like,
absolutely.
Yeah, I've told people, I said, you want to tell me that my generation, I said, come on, come with me. Let's go talk to a few and tell them that their 60 hours, 70 hours a work week ain't hard enough for you. And that's just the reality. It just breaks my heart, y'all. It really does.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Let me continue with the chat real quick. We catch up here. So hello, y'all. Says lack of medical facilities here in North Chatham. Son went into anaphylaxis and it took the ambulance over an hour to get to Savannah Hospital.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yes. That is
Uma
something.
said, so what?
I said, if you don't mind, I actually want to speak on this. So
yeah, please.
I also have thyroid disease. And so sometimes your thyroid can kind of just go, whoo, and it really sucks. And so I remember a lot of times when it happens, I have to go usually once every 3 months. Is usually when I'm having to go. And I have to pick, I'm right in the middle. I either have to go, am I going 35 minutes to Effingham or am I going 35 minutes to Memorial? You know, and that's the reality for a lot of people. So it's like, okay, Graham, I'll drive, or, you know what I mean? Because like I said, it's just making, you know, my blood pressure gets high. I start feeling really sick and nauseous, and, you know, I'm not okay. They usually end up having me sit, they'll run fluids, whatever. And it's just like a check, basically. But I have to go to the hospital because it's the only place I can go. And that's a reality that a lot of people face. I'm like, I sat here thinking about when I have to go every time, I'm like, imagine someone's having a heart attack. Imagine someone's like dying, you know what I mean? Or their lungs collapse, or something's going on, and you have to wait 35 minutes to get to the hospital. Let's be honest, they're not going to Effingham. They're going to Memorial. I know more folks throughout freaking most people hate to say, I don't even go to Effingham because it can't do anything unless you've got a cold. Like I said, I love the people at Effingham, but unless you've got a cold or flu, you're going to Memorial. You're going to Chatham. And so that is a big problem that a lot of people are facing. You know, my grandpa was sick. They're just like, oh, he went over there, like, okay, we did some tests. He's not dying, but we can't help him. He's got to go to Memorial. So it's like that's the reality that a lot of people face in our community, going, well, I got to pick which one. And you go to Memorial, and Memorial, again, is not made for this many people. So something that we're going to have to do, I'm going to have to work from everything from Congress, you know, on the national level to state. We need to get some of these hospitals built bigger. And that's, you know what I mean? I'd rather, you know, if someone's like, well, we're going to use land for it, I'd rather land be used to give us a hospital or many places people can go for some of this stuff, because it just can't say. If you go to Memorial right now, I can guarantee you it's wall to wall filled up right now, wall to wall. Every time I go, it's wall to wall. I'm sitting in the hallway on my bed with 13 other people down that hallway. And that's just the reality that we're facing. These hospitals need to get bigger, you know, and even big emergencies, they get sent to Jacksonville. Or they get sent to care or charge. So, like I said, we really need to figure this out as a state. It isn't the area I'm an expertise in. I wish my great granddaddy was alive. He built Effingham. I wish I could ask him, what's the plan? But, you know, I'm hoping there are other people I can ask and say, what do we need to do to get these hospitals built bigger? Because it affects me and it affects people in my district. Like I said, even Pooler here. Even if it was a small 24/7 emergency service, a lot of them, you know, we have like a little clinic, but that's about it. And like I said, even for them, they're just going to send you to Memorial or Effingham. And so that's something we really need to work on.
See, I had an emergency.
I like the comment that says, yes, I'd rather have a hospital than damn dentist. Exactly. I'd rather have a hospital.
Yeah. I chose Effingham in my moment of scared moments because I knew I can get there quickly.
Yeah.
It was not helpful.
Now, like I said, they probably said, oh, we can't. Yeah. You know, like I said, a lot of the staff that work at Memorial go to Effingham. So it's just like, and they're just going to tell you to go to Memorial anyway.
It's not good. It was not. I knew I could get there fast. Back roads like 105 miles an hour. He cut his fingers off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good place to go for that. Yeah.
And they didn't do anything.
Wow.
So thank you, Effingham Medical.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get to the next question, and we'll get you guys in the chat, so keep asking the question. We'll try to get to all the chats. We're going to cut it off at 58 minutes. So I'm trying to get as many chats as possible. So keep putting your comments in there. But let's get to the next question. Here we go. Let's the video.
Right. Family that called Port Wentworth their home.
Oh, before I play this video, because it's kind of messed up. So I want to preface this. This is from 5 years ago when they were fighting against the warehouses. And I know there's people that watch our chats that were in the fight and got exhausted from it. And you see now what happened. But let's play the video from 5 years ago.
A family that called Port Wentworth their home. They say if this request is approved, it would enable warehouses and other industrial buildings to take up over 100 acres surrounding their homes. Community members say they want to negotiate with the developers so the land by their homes is used for business that would support their community. They say building warehouses would make their already busy roads even more dangerous and point to the city's growth as an indicator for keeping the area conducive for families and farmers who utilize a lot of the land. The locals say they believe the land is being considered solely from a revenue standpoint, expressing concern over the future of their communities.
We still have no place for the children to play. We still have no recreation representation out here. And we feel like that location is centrally located.
We shouldn't have to keep going to the table saying we don't want the warehouses. Help us stay a community.
We know that there's growth and we welcome growth, but we want something that would benefit the community.
So that was from 5 years ago. As you can see, we are painted with plentiful warehouses here at Port Wentworth. So, Brandon, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because a lot of people feel like a lot of these big projects are getting pushed through without the community actually really knowing what's going on nor do they feel like their voices are getting heard or they matter at all.
Yeah, no, it's a big problem around here. I
So-
remember my grandma talking about it, when I would come, and it was just it's a lot, y'all. It really is. I wish I could just say it was just me going there and just tell them no, and it just ain't a lot of. And this is where I hate the part of government. This part of it is it's the greed. A lot of people don't realize a lot of them own logistic companies. A lot of them actually own warehouses here. A lot of them own the engineering companies that build them. It's a lot of greed. It's a lot of, or their family member owns it. That's been a big one too. And so that's just a big issue that goes on around here. So everyone's like, oh, we're fighting against it. I know you are. And I want you guys to keep fighting, keep the pressure. Because the second you release it, that's when they throw 10 more at us. I'd rather try to, fight one at a time than have them secretly sneak by us and throw a bunch at us.
Right. What is it, Jennifer? What is it? Profit over life. So what would you say the process should look like? If you could paint us a picture, like what should the process look like before these major projects are approved?
So one of the biggest things that I've noticed, and like I said, I'm still learning as time goes on, is a lot of these areas are missing engineers. And if they do, we hire the companies that are building them. That was something I learned. I think she's on here watching. She told me that. I was like, wait a minute. The cities, as fast as we're growing, we do not have engineers. And she was like, no, they pay the same companies that are building these warehouses and businesses and we pay the taxpayer dollars go to pay them to build these. So we know what they're building. We don't have engineering on stuff. So we're paying, 10, 20, 30, 40, thousands of dollars for these to be built. We're paying for that just to get the engineering designs when we could just pay somebody here who actually fights for the people here, who looks out for what's going on in the community, whether it's roads, whether it's these warehouses, where can we put them? And that's a big problem that we know what's going on here.
So who's actually benefiting from these hush-hush projects?
Yeah. So like I said, I'd love to try to create a state incentive to get these local cities. Just like I said, the counties have them, but the counties are backed up. Like I said, the state's got Georgia DOT and a lot of these engineering, they're backed up years. And so that's what they do is they hire these people, they hire the companies, their brothers, their cousins, their sisters. They hire these people to, draw it out, and they submit to Georgia DOT saying, we're happy with it. You guys should be too. And, they stamp it because they're too busy to, really take the time to go, hey, look what's going on. A lot of people don't know that. And so
is that why they're targeting smaller cities with small populations, because they don't have those?
Yeah, we can't fight again. Like I said, they're putting some pressure on Savannah, but Savannah can fight back. We can't fight back comparatively. Rankin, so all these people benefit. Like you're saying again, a lot of them own these companies, and that's a lot of people don't realize. Their family owns it. It's a very, very club that you have to be welcomed in. And if you don't know the club's there, you don't know what's going on. That's something I'm starting to realize as I attend these meetings. Like, this doesn't seem right. And then, like I said, they're not all bad. Some of these people are really, really fighting. The ones I've had meetings with are really, really fighting. But when it's 1 to 2 versus 5, 6, 7, like I said, you're going to get outvoted every time. So,
and the mayor's only the tiebreaker. So
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get back in the chat here real quick. Jennifer had a bunch of questions. She wants to know, are you taking any money, some dark money from, like data centers or anything? Where do you get your campaign funds from?
I try to make the joke here. I said, I don't even think most people know this race is going on except the people around here. I call the state, I call people, I talk to unions, and I'm like, there's a thing going on. Most people don't even know our neck of the woods. I hate to say it, y'all. Most people do not look over here until it's like, oh, there was something done over there, or there was the act. Most time Georgia doesn't even know. So no, I'm not taking money. You can see my peach files. It's pretty much just me, y'all. I get some small donors here and there from family, from things, from my family. But that's, like I said, there's not no big corporations. Now, like I said, I never want to talk too ill about my competitor. He's taking a lot of corporate PAC money. You can see it on his peach file. Like I said, he's not a bad man himself. That's just where a lot of his money comes from. And so, like I said, if you look at our two systems, you're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. Where's all this money coming from? PAC. Yeah,
So, okay. So your competitor's taking a bunch of PAC money.
Yeah. You can look at his, I think almost every one of his donations, he's about $60,000 or so. Like I said, we're about to do another one here in April. We'll see how much more money he's gotten, but it's all PAC.
Wow. And then Jennifer also. So what?
Who is that?
Who is what?
The name.
Our PAC?
The competitor.
Oh, Bill Hitchens.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So Jennifer again said, will you help get the insurance companies under control? They're killing us.
Oh
So
my
what can we
gosh,
do at
y'all.
the state level to help with insurance?
I feel it, y'all. Let me tell you. So being, like I said, a lot of people don't know this. I'll mention it. I'm 24. I'm not, like I said, we actually recently elected a 21-year-old to the House floor. So trust me, I'm not going to be the youngest one there. I feel it the most. You know, I hate to say it. My car insurance for my Jeep is $450 a month. $450 for mine. I've been in one accident. $450 a month I pay just for my car insurance. You know, and that's what I tell them. I said,
$450 a month?
$450 a month. Oh yeah.
You're not 25 yet.
I think most people say it drops around 26 years old. 26 years old when it finally drops. But when I was paying about $200 a month for full coverage, and then I got into that accident, and it went to $450, and it's just never come down since then. They're like, "Oh, you got an accident? Oh, it wasn't even a bad one. It wasn't even like, oh," but they were like, "Oh no, we're just gonna have to." And like I said, I've gone to other ones. The other ones wanted $500, $600, $700 a month. You know, I found $450 was like, I'm like, this is the best I'm gonna get. So, you know, guess I'm doing this. I didn't get the choice really. And like I said, I'm definitely feel like I said, whether it's, you know, home property insurance, whether people are talking, actually, there's a lot of areas that can't even insure certain parts, you know, water damage. That's been a big issue. We're like, I can't even get flood damage, you know what I mean? Because the hurricanes are coming. And that's been a big issue. I'm really hoping we can work with the new insurance commission, whoever gets elected, to try to bring these insurance costs down. Like I said, I'm going to try to find some incentives. You know, people make fun of it, and it's fine. I get it. It sounds ridiculous, but it's shown to bring insurance rates down, whether that is through the nature bridges. Everyone's like, oh, that sounds so dumb. But it's like, but we've seen through Tennessee, we've seen through Arkansas, we've seen through Oklahoma states that have them, their insurance rates drop 10 to 15% in the area. There's incentives we can try to bring. Like I said, I can't make them drop. Like I said, I wish mine could be, you know, $200 a month. But if I could try to take small chunks out through, I'd rather taxpayer money go to something that's going to help us prevent deaths and also bring our costs down. Yeah, I hate to say it's going to, you know, I'll look at the cost between them. Every state spends differently. It's between $1 million to $10 million, but crashes around the area go down by 80, 90%, you know, animal related accidents. Insurance rates drop 10 to 15% in that area when they come. You know, like I said, there's also car. I know there's also homeowner insurance. The best thing I can do for that is what I try to talk about in my campaign is prevention. We know hurricanes are coming. Why are we not preventing a lot of this stuff? We know that we get big storms. We know that we get floods here. And of course, we've lost a lot of stuff. You know, I hate to say new administration, we lost some grants, we lost some stuff. So that's been a big issue going on. But prevention is what we're trying to do. That's how you drop insurance rates, trying to prevent accidents from happening.
Okay.
Can't prevent Mother Nature.
No, you can't. Hello, y'all said they know they aren't, and no, our legislators have fought raising minimum wage for years, largely Republican lawmakers. So she's saying that the legislator has been fighting back minimum wage raises. Crystal says the point behind this is you will own nothing. I think she believes that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That is a saying for my generation.
Renter for life.
You will own nothing and you will be happy. They want renters. They want everything to rent. They want you to rent your car. They want you to rent your house. They want you to rent anything that you have. It's renting a phone, everything. And that's been a big discussion my generations haven't had that conversation about. It's too expensive to buy a house. It's too expensive to buy land. And of course, you know, everyone's like, oh, but there's cheap places. Like I said, when I'm old, I can't wait to live in the middle of nowhere. Peaceful mind, sound. But right now, I got to live where the work is. Right. I love to go live in the middle of Arkansas. You know, land's $100 an acre. Yeah, sure, I'd love to live out in the middle of nowhere. That ain't happening right now, y'all. People got to work. We've got to find jobs. You know, and so I love when people say that.
Living out there.
Yeah, it is a big problem. Like I said, you're right. They did recently struck down, increase the minimum wage. We're hoping to take the House back this year. That crossing our fingers, we're hoping to take it back. We can try. That's one of the first things I'm going to be like dead set. Like, I don't care. Georgians need money in their pocket. Like I said, we want to bring costs down. We want to do things, but let's try to flip it. Let's try to do it. I'm going to work with the governor. If we don't flip it, I've got a plan to try to incentivize Republicans. I've seen it work in another state, in a Republican red state. It isn't great, y'all, but it might work. Is what we do is we sit here and say, okay, look, we know the minimum wage needs to increase. Whether you like it or not, we know it needs to increase. If I can't get it to where I want it to be $12. Most people in the chat who are Democrats are like, it should be 15, 20. Let's try to get it to 12. I'm trying to be, you know, realistic. Let's get it to $12.
What is it now?
It is $5.15.
Oh shit!
It's $5.15, and then our national one is $7.25. So we fall in national. So technically, you could say it's $7.25. The last time it was adjusted was either 1999 or 2000. Like I said, the dates. It's been a while. And so I started telling most people, I said that was the last time it was done. And I knew people making $3 an hour, and they said that $5.15. They thought they were rich because $4. Yeah, like I said, it's a little different time now. $4, back then could actually get you a little something.
It was a server. I was a server. I was doing like it was $4.25.
All right, there you go. Back then you felt all.
But I made more money.
My dad says he remembers dollar Whoppers. He said that was nothing made him happy. He said he lived off dollar Whoppers.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't have to go back. Hopefully they can even come back to that. Now the dollar Whopper's a $5, so it's a $5 Whopper now.
That's what I try to tell people. I said I'd love to, like I said, if we won the house, let's try to get it to 15. But if we don't, my incentive plan is to go, hey guys, for the next 10 years, the next 5 years, let's try to get it $1 every year. If Republicans still control it, let's try to get it $1 every year to at least $10. So we're at 5. Let's try to get it, let's get 6. Like I said, it's not great. Or if we can at least get it to the $7.25 the first year, okay, fine, let's match it. And then let's get it to $10. Then we can try to fight more. Right now, my goal is just try to bring it up, whether it's through, I hate to say it, whether it's through year by year by year, which takes time. But if, I have to convince Republicans, or can we try to just bring it up? Like I said, if we win the House, let's get it done. Let's get it up there with $10 immediately, and then $1 increase year after that until we get to 15.
What do you think that would do for employment though, with all the technology and all the people that you don't even get recognized when you walk into a restaurant anymore? You got to order on a little tablet thing, and then no one even comes to the counter anymore.
Well, and that's a big thing. I've tried to look up the cost of it, and a lot of people talk about the cost of things and stuff. Where prices are going up, y'all. Whether I increase this minimum wage or not, I can guarantee it's going to double before we even know it. So you're right. We are moving more electronically. This was before, like I said, we have increased $5 and it's still coming. I can say we can try to get the people who are working now, try to put incentives to try to, to get them to where, okay, look, there's fast food jobs coming. They want to do electronically. McDonald's, a lot of these companies have projects by 2030 to have fully automated stores. That's their goals.
Like I said, have fully automated customers because people want to stop going.
Yeah. That's the ultimate goal is to get more and more. Like I said, now we're seeing less. I mean, there's places that don't even take cash anymore. That's something I really hate. I love cash. Cash is my favorite thing in the world. And I go places, and like I said, most of my friends are watching. They'll bite tap in the chat. We've had to pay for Dillie like 3 or 4 times because I've got cash, and they're like, we don't take it. Like I said, these things are coming. And so by putting, like I said, we can prevent the people who are being left behind, whether it's through AI, whether it's through these places want to become fully automated, but also do more training, because the biggest issue that we are facing, and I live in this world, is there's not enough trade people. There just isn't. And so trying to get to these people, hey, look, I know, your daddy, your family said trades are dumb, they're silly, they're stupid, only dumb people work in them. That's something I remember I was like working, it was 110-degree heat. I'm shoveling, trying to put this pipe in the ground. Because I was doing gas lines. So gas lines, you're not allowed to really use electronic. Everything's done by hand. And this lady, she says it in Spanish. I didn't know what she was saying, but one of the guys that got really mad, he was like, what he said? He said, mijo, blah, blah. If you're like these guys, you don't get educated. I'm like, I have a, I'm like working on my college degree. And, and they're just like, if you're like these guys, you don't do good in school, you'll be out these guys working 110-degree heat like a bunch of idiots. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'd be upset, but that's the reality. A lot of people teaching the kids it's not worth it. It's not worth the investment. I'm telling you, there's good money. I said, whether you want to know, plumbers are going to be one of the number one top paying field. I tell every young person, I say, if you're doing anything right now, everyone's like, welding. I love welding. Welding is not going to be number one. Plumbing is going. No one wants to touch toilets. Let's be honest here. No one wants to touch toilets. And I tell people all the time, try to find a trade. These are the people that are going to be owning business. These people are going to be like, who's the next millionaire? It's going to be a trade guy. The next billion-dollar company is going to be whoever can create the first conglomerate plumbing company across the country. That's going to be the next billionaire. And that's what I try to tell people. So try to get in the trades. Initially, it's a lot of work. It's time. It's investment. You don't know if it's worth it. It's hard. It's backbreaking work. I hate to lie to you. But like I said, we're also trying to make sure you get more money too. When I moved back home, I was traveling all across the U.S. welding and everything. I moved back home, and I was trying to find welding jobs. Like $17 an hour. I said, y'all, I was just making $35. That's the reality. A lot of us faces, they are being underpaid. I'm like, y'all, this is hard work. And, you hear all these companies, billion-dollar profit, multi-billion-dollar profit. And you're like, you can't spend $100 million to give everybody a $5 raise, which will also increase your profits more. And like I said, we can talk about, companies, they're going to leave. The goal is to do that anyway. I'd rather make sure people at least have money now before they can be replaced. Right. Can we set ourselves up for a better future? Because it's coming whether we like it or not, y'all.
Oh yeah, no, I think trades are absolutely necessary. I think actually, if you get in the trades now, right, well, when AI starts taking everybody's jobs, you'll be ahead of the pack. So,
oh yeah, no. Like I said, I mean, even my own mother, we're telling my own mother, that's what she does. She does logistics and everything for a big national company, and they just laid off 40% of their employees. And I said, Mom, you're next, right? And she's like, no, I'm okay. I'll probably still got a few more years. And I was like, Ma, they just laid off like almost half your company. I mean, a lot of it was in India. Don't get me wrong. A lot of it's been pushed to India. But I'm like, they're laying people off. And this is the sad reality that we have to realize is, one, can we make sure that people are getting their retirements? Can we make sure people are being taken care of? But what's the future going to look like? And that's something that, I'm not going to lie to a lot of people, kind of scares me. I don't know what it's going to look like. It could be the best thing ever, or we could be all, I guess, I don't know, y'all. It's just, it's a lot to take in. Like I said, I try to think about too much. I try to solve the problems that are going on right now. But there is a part of me that really worries about our future. What's it going to look like,
We can only control what we can control. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're going to be like, how can I take your order? How do I take your...
All right.
I've told people I'm still waiting for the software. So I actually had to do a bunch of paperwork today. I'm writing. I was like, I wish there was an AI thing that I could just scan it and it just fills out the form and I could just send it. Yeah, like I said, I don't mind some handwritten, but I was like, okay, if there's one app, can someone develop this form where I can just scan it and it fills out my form?
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Before we ask the next question, we'll play this quick video.
Yeah,
you may recognize this video, potentially.
That foundation is cracking. We've got folks working full time, and they can't afford rent in the towns they grew up in. We've got inflation eating our paychecks, and a minimum wage stuck in the 90s.
I wish I had the...
Where's your hard hat?
You can't build a strong house on a weak foundation. I'm running because I have a blueprint that actually makes sense for us. Step 1, raise the minimum wage. If you work hard in Georgia, you shouldn't be poor in Georgia. Step 2, smarter infrastructure.
Pooler neighbors say development is out of control.
Taxpayers usually end up footing that bill.
Not just paving over nature, but upgrading our grid, water systems to actually lower your utility bills. And step 3, we protect what's ours. My family's been here for generations. My grandfather and great-grandfather helped build this community. I'm not going to let overdevelopment destroy the land they love. We don't need another politician who just talks. We need a builder.
That's a good post right there. That was a good one.
Yep.
Hold on.
Back like 10 seconds to me, like, well, with me taking off my little masters. I guess we'll make a funny joke.
We don't need another politician who just talks.
All right, pause it for a second.
Hold on.
All right, well, whatever, it's fine. So there's that little thing. It was just a bar. Let me tell you, I have never seen so much hate on the internet from welders who were like, what were you welding? I was like, y'all, they told me to find a piece of bar, and they told me to just weld. I was like, I'm not going to do no projects. I'm not sitting. I was getting like, why were you welding? I'm like, y'all, I took my grinder. I welded off the rust the best I could. We have a farm full of 1,000 rusty things. They say, grab a bar and weld on it. And that's what I did. It was supposed to emphasize that, I said, I have all my certifications. You want to come see my test? You want to come see my certs? Come on. But let me tell you, they were hating on me. You had a bar and it just isn't how you're supposed to. I'm like, whatever, y'all. Like I said, some of the biggest haters is the welding community. We love each other, but we also hate each other's welding. We're always think everyone's always the better one than everyone.
Competition.
Oh, yeah. I'm doing the welding
competition for what you're going through.
Last year I did carpentry, I got smoked. This year I did plumbing, I got gold. Next year I'm thinking of doing welding. So we'll see. Yeah.
After that one,
I'll probably be a little. I'll have my degree, I'll have my stuff because it's just one of my school. It's one of the school programs that we can do. So yeah, at that point I'll have my second degree because I have a degree in welding. So my second degree will be in construction management. But I'm pretty sure you want me to answer the questions about my ad. I'm pretty sure that was the whole questions you guys want to know about.
We just want to see your pose at the end. But you're running as the working class guy, and not a career politician. So what's something that you think the current leadership isn't getting right now for the people in the district?
It's just feeling how our people in the community are. I mean, and I that was going to sound weird if I said that, but we're just being left behind, y'all. That's the reality. We're just being left behind. No one's really caring what we have to say. We're working long hours. We're putting in the work. And I hate to call it, like I said, most older generations, they're very, very kind folk. But when they tell my generation, you ain't working hard enough, you ain't doing it good enough, I'm like, yo,
times are different.
What are y'all talking about? I said, I've worked my 60, 70 hours. I've worked 80 hours. I've worked 90-hour weeks. What more do you want from me? And I was making damn good money. I was still putting in my 90-hour weeks. And like I said, I remember seeing those paychecks when I was 20 going, oh my gosh, thinking I was rich. But now I'm like, oh shoot, I wish I was still making that money. But, it's hard out here. Every city's a little different. Everyone's trying to solve their own problems. Some people want to be a hero in these city council meetings. Some people want to just put whatever money's in their pocket. And the people in our community, they're just trying to go to work. They're just trying to pay for their gas. Like I said, they lowered the gas tax, but a lot of people have their concerns with that too. They're trying to find ways to kind of cut bits and pieces, but no one's going to feel that. In reality, no one's going to see. Like the biggest thing they were trying to fight for this year was removing the income tax. And I told people, I said, look, increase the minimum wage, but do more than get rid of the income tax. And so I said, I could put $3 more in your pocket. I put $2 more in your pocket, and you put more in your pocket than moving it. Because like I said, most people don't realize. If you look at, even at least for me, $40 a week. I mean, like I said, for some people that is going to make it break. Let me not take it. For me, it didn't. But for some people, $40, that was the big difference. But we pay for the long-term consequences. Just because you move this and they put it on sales tax, if I go to the store and I'm still spending more, like I said, you can't. Oh, it just irritates. You're just like, y'all, what are y'all doing?
You can't rob Jimmy to something Paul. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because you push the tax on something else, the community won't think about it. When I go to the store and going, wait, why is my tax now $5 instead of it was $1? Oh, well, yeah, they moved the income tax to sales tax. Like, really, dude? Like consumption tax. And then the worst one, like I said, y'all, I'm going to get in trouble on the House floor. I know I am. So be ready for that, y'all.
We got your back.
Right? Yeah, like I said, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to be like, what are y'all talking about? Well, so they're like, let's just increase tourism here. We aren't Florida, y'all. We aren't Florida. I love my community. We ain't, like I said, Savannah's real close to getting in trouble for, I got, at least the rumor was they got real close to losing their historical society play. You know what I mean? Because we're not really preserving a whole lot. SCAD's taking over, commercial sites. It's not really being as historical as it should be. So that's kind of one of the things in Atlanta. Atlanta's fine. You go one time. You go see the zoo, you go see the stuff. It's cute. It's fun, whatever. But that's it. Everyone's like, tourism's going to pay for everything. And it's just like, y'all, no one wants to come to Rincon. No one wants to come to, like I said, the ports are cool. This isn't part of my tourism destination. We're not Florida. And I hate when people try to compare us to Florida. Tourism isn't going to pay our bills.
I knew it. You got Jennifer going now. Jesus Christ.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's get into the chat here. Okay. So Uma says trades rock. Actual people saying that it's harder to get into here too. Hello, y'all says your nice doctor office receptionist probably getting paid minimum wage, and they deal with our cranky, sick asses. Jennifer said, get your trades education and get in the union. Union strong. Jennifer said, hello, y'all says, was that filmed in Rice Hope? It looked like Rice Creek.
Yeah, so one of my good buddies, he's actually, like I said, I have a few friends that are developing the areas. They gave me their opinions and whatnot, but yeah, that was put there. I was like, hey, can I? Like, oh yeah, it's fine, go right ahead. I said, perfect. What he does a good job. He's one of the very few, I would tell you, that really tries, that cares about the houses, that really puts in the effort. There's a few developers you guys probably know who we're talking about that just build crap, and he's one of the very few that tries to put. Like I said, every one of them. Yeah.
Not sponsored.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got one more question for you before we go, because we just kind of stumbled upon this, didn't we, Brandon?
Yeah.
All right. So I just want to play this last video. Then I'm going to ask a quick question. And I know this is passionate for the Pooler people. So if you're from Pooler, you're probably going to hate this one. Are you right? I've been there. So let's see it.
Pooler and the pushback against it. During tonight's city council meeting, the mayor and council members discussed a proposal to build warehouses near Tom Triplett Park and Jessup Road. This comes nearly 2 months after Pooler City Council denied a variance for a commercial development at another nearby property. Our Madeline Beerster attended the meeting tonight. And Madeline, what did the community have to say?
Well, Shelby, it was a pretty packed meeting tonight at City Council chambers earlier. 9 Pooler residents stepped up to the microphone, and most of them said the same thing. No. Pooler residents describe Tom Triplett Community Park as one of the last quiet spaces in a rapidly growing area along Highway 80. At Monday's city council meeting, the mayor and council members heard from petitioners looking to establish multiple industrial warehouse buildings and a new access road along Jessup Road.
Access is the most important feature of this petition, new public right-of-way. And I can't remember the last time there's been a new public right-of-way quite like this one that's proposed.
My recommendation is that you vote no on this, because if not, you're going to have a big legal fight on your hand.
Thank you, Uma, for that. I appreciate that.
Let me say that I finally got to meet. I only got to meet a lady that was right there. What a lovely woman! That woman goes to every meeting, gives them hell every time. I wish I could. You know, I might give her a placard just to be like, look at let the community recognize that is a great woman right there. She fights for everyone here in Pooler.
She's in the chat right now.
I know she's here. I'm hoping I could be on your level. Look at me.
Boss.
I'm hoping I could be on your level, fighting as strong as you are.
So why do you think, because I know that it's zoned commercial around Tom Triplett, they got that one spot in the front that they had to stop they had a special, they were trying to get an exemption for some type of buffer. So they got rebuffed. But then behind them, they're getting a daggum warehouse. Like, when does this stop?
It doesn't.
And like I said, one of the big things I actually wanted when we heard in the video, they said 9 people were there. That's not enough, y'all. We know that's not enough. Like I said, even 9 people. Like I said, we finally got to stop when they were trying to do the big one over there, the big industrial little complex they were trying to do over there. We can fight back, but it takes the community, y'all. It takes me being there as hopefully your next District 161 candidate. It takes the community as well right behind me going, we don't want this. Elected officials don't want this. The community doesn't want this. I understand your cousin's building it. I understand your best friend's a part of it. I understand whatever you guys doing at the table. I get it, but we don't want this, y'all. And like I said, I'm hoping we can fight back against it. The Tom Triplett thing is devastating. I actually go, we go fishing over there. It's a great place. It's lovely. It's one of the very few places we have left, and we really need to tell them, especially with the canal. That's been a big thing. We talked about that on Monday. I had constituents texting me over the weekend like, please, can you attend the city hall meeting? There's another one today. There's so many. And I think they do this on purpose. They almost all these meetings are always on Monday around the same times. And I'm like, y'all do this on purpose, I swear. Because Rankin does that at the same time. Then you got Port Wentworth over here. Port Wentworth does it a little differently. But you get lost in time sometimes. Which ones I'm supposed to go to, which one's going on. The county commissioner is hosting this one. It gets it's a fight, but I'm willing to put in that fight. I'm willing to put in that work, and I'm hoping I can hope I can represent District 161 with pride. I hope when I'm up there, I can sit here and tell people, I said, my district will not go for this. It's not that I will go for this. My district will not go for this. That's what I hope to say every time I'm on that floor fighting for y'all. My district doesn't want this. It ain't about me. It's about my district. It's about my constituents. It's about my people. It's about the generations that my family's been here. It's about my brothers who are special needs. There's, like I said, there's barely any programs for them here anyway. I'm hoping to just do us right. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm young. I'm still learning. I've still got plenty of books to read. If you got any book recommendations, put them in the chat. You know what I mean? If there's still things,
you got that good young energy. That's what we need. We need a young energy to fight.
There's a joke, between the Gen Z or the Gen Z ones. So you have a phrase we say, "Young gets it done," because what we're going to do, it's going to affect us, and that's what I try to tell people. Young gets it done.
So I don't know if the city tourist.
They got a good thing. Pooler Karate. Pooler Karate has that fun thing.
You're right, Jennifer. It is.
Pooler Karate.
The Savvy Tourist says, is anyone going to the debate tomorrow? Which debate?
So tomorrow, I might give it a shout out. So tomorrow will be a CD1 debate. That'll be pretty big. So look it up, CD1. The Democrats are having a huge debate tomorrow. It's supposed to be held by the Savannah Indivisible. It's gonna be a pretty big event. All the CD1 Democrat candidates will be there. There was one yesterday for NAACP. All the Democratic candidates there. The Republicans were invited. None of the Republicans showed up. That one was actually a little bit sad. But actually, I was like putting money. There was going to be at least one of them, but he didn't even end up showing up. So I don't know. They don't really want. Like I said, it was going to be kind of weird anyway. Because I always just say when you go in those meetings, when you have all of them, it's kind of just them arguing against each other without doing it. So I was curious how it was going to work. Yeah.
Well, shoot.
It's on Easter Monday.
It's tomorrow, Tuesday, 6 to 8 at the Otis S. Johnson PhD Cultural Arts Center at 201 Montgomery Street. If you want to go, you have to register. I'm gonna copy and put the post in the chat so you guys can go to it.
And the Republicans are also hosting one this Saturday. So if you haven't seen that, they're also hosting one this Saturday. It's CD1 Republican candidates will be there Saturday. They're doing theirs in Savannah. It's in one of the theaters. I can't remember the name of which one it is, but they're hosting theirs this Saturday at 10 a.m.
Okay. All right. Well, Brandon, is there any other questions you had for David?
I'm here. Might as well ask him. Tough, easy.
Yeah, I mean, the chat's blowing up with them. I don't have any. I asked mine.
Love it. Love it.
Uma says, "Come April 6th." Is that for the city council meeting?
Next city council. So that's I tell people to come to that one. Please help us fight for the canal. It's a beautiful place. If you haven't walked it, please go down there. That community really needs us out there, y'all. We need to be out there. We need to let city council know. We need to let them know that the community wants to protect the canal. There's otters there. There's federally protected species there. I've been trying to get with some people to try to take pictures to try to get some of these federally protected species, so creatures. So like, look, here's an eagle. You can't tear it down. You know what I mean? So we're trying to find ways to keep that area. It's one of the very last nature areas that we haven't really got our foot in. And
what canal are you talking about?
I can't remember exactly the name of the canal at the top of my head. It is called. One second, I'll pull it up right here. There's so much protecting around here. Let's see real quickly. I was there on freaking Monday. I'm terrible, y'all. Let me tell you, I'm terrible.
That's all right. That's all right. It's all good.
Let's see here.
Is that the one?
Uma, can you help us out with this canal?
Canal Bank, yeah. Geechee Canal. Yeah, the Geechee Canal. There you go, Geechee Canal. That's what it was. Yeah.
All right. So be there April 6th at Pooler City Hall, right?
Yeah.
It's if you want to help fight against the canal being destroyed.
Protect the creatures there. Protect the otters. Protect the eagles. They said they've seen a few different species of birds over there, so hopefully we can keep that area protected.
There's a lot of birds.
A lot of birds, yeah. I've heard bird watchers like it. I've been learning a lot about it, you know. People really love it. The people who live near it love it. They do everything they can to protect it. They said the biggest issue they're doing was all the deer. The deer don't know where to go in Pooler. So
there's a lot of deer stands over there too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you don't have any more questions, Brandon, what question? Go ahead.
I didn't know.
What?
I didn't know who we were selling it to.
Oh, geez. Don't worry about that. You're gonna have to deal with that later. But I want to say thank you so much, David, for coming on. And if people want to support your candidacy, where should they go?
They can go to daviddillie.com. Again, David Dillie, DILLIE.com. You can email me at vote@daviddillie. That's a good way to contact me. We have an Act Blue. We have some cool merch. You know, I got stuff that says "Don't be silly, vote for Dillie." I've got a candle that says "Don't be silly, smell like Dillie." So we've got some fun stuff on there. Yeah, we try to find a way for way. I mean, fundraising takes all sorts of ways. You know. Yeah, perfect. Someone put it in the chat. I love it. You know, like I said, we're in this together, y'all. I'm not fancy. I comes from high fucking fluting family. I mean, of course, you know, whatever, it's Hallsburg, whatever, you know what I mean? But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just your neighbor. I'm nobody fancy. I work the same jobs y'all do. I work in, you know, I'd say I work in the same trenches because I've dug those trenches, put thousands of miles with, you know, thousands of miles, but I probably put about 1,000 miles worth of pipe in the ground. You know, I took out lead pipes here. I've took out some. Oh yeah, I know we don't want to take too much time. Our infrastructure is bad, y'all. That's why I talk about it in my thing. There's stuff built in the 70s. That was the last time this country put any investment in a lot of these communities was the 70s. We're wondering, well, why our power shuts down when hurricanes come? Well, the poles, you know, I mean, some of those areas are real bad, you know, and I'm just trying to get it upgraded, trying to get some stuff and put good jobs out there for our community. That's all I could really ask for. I hope you guys bring me the house. I'm hoping I can prove myself on that house floor, and I hope to fight for just the common person here in our area. I'm not rich. I'm not going to take no, you know, super PAC money or, you know, AI data. They can go kick rocks all day long. So,
well, David, I really, really appreciate you coming on. The chat is happy you came on. So
glad I could be here for people.
Well, I appreciate it. So thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. If you win, will you come back on the show?
Of course. Y'all tell me, y'all contact me, tell me to come on. If you guys want to have me again, I mean, if you guys want to do a debate, I'll be here. We'll do the best I can.
Should we get Bill on here? Would he debate you?
I mean, if Bill come do it. I mean, I'd love to ask questions. I'd love to see the community responds. He's got a great history. He's got a great record. Not a politician record, but he's got a great, he's a veteran, policeman. You really can't get a whole lot better than that.
Okay, Bill. Dave is calling you out.
I think, as most people in the community saying, I think it's time for him to retire.
He's calling you out, Bill. Come on, Bill. Come on, Bill.
Anyway, I love that. Thanks, y'all. Yeah.
All right, David. Well, if you win, good luck. I hope you do well. And we hope to have you back on the show. And we'll talk to you soon. All right.
I mean, anytime. Or y'all come on down to the farm. We'll have a good old meal. Y'all give me a holler.
All right, cool. Huh?
I'm not hungry.
Oh yeah, we just had pretty much Thanksgiving again now on this Sunday. We had mac and cheese, turkey, mashed potatoes, collard green meat. Yeah, we show out. We have a good time.
Yeah, I'll eat.
Right, exactly. All right, y'all. It was a pleasure.
Appreciate it. See ya.
Thanks, David.
Oh, that was fun, right?
That was more fun.
That was way more fun. So
we're still live.
Huh?
Are we still live?
Yeah, we're still live. We're about to close the show out, guy. Dude, just relax a second.
I was just
first.
It was so
it was
fun.
good. Yeah, he was fun.
Like, he's actually kind of like you can actually talk to him and he's not talking down to you. It was really nice, actually.
Yeah, that's good. So I want to thank Jennifer, Ivy. I want to thank y'all. I want to thank Uma, Nick. Who else came in? The Savvy Tourist. Huh?
Thanks, Nick, for chiming in last minute.
Josh, everybody that came in the chat, you guys, I'd love you guys for coming in here and getting on the chat. We really, really, really appreciate it. We don't want Tom Triplett Park to go down, the Caps. But I don't want to forget, so we got some admin notes. So don't forget, we just did a market update. When did we do that? Thursday? It's on our YouTube channel. Wednesday, Thursday? It's on our YouTube channel. Definitely check that out. Also did the Husk video. If you haven't seen it, I'm telling you right now, that Husk video is awesome. The footage we got is amazing. Brandon, you got anything you want to talk about?
Not. I really don't right now.
I'm still open housing.
Okay, so I'm gonna do open house on 100 Westwood Drive in Rincon from 1 to 3 on Saturday, and I'm gonna see if I'm gonna do one on Sunday from 1 to 3 at 120 Dukes Way.
All right.
But we'll see.
Let's add to the stage. We're going to have Delfonso Daniels next week. So come on, running. We've already had Michael McCord. So if you haven't seen his stuff, check it out on the channel. Krista Penn, Republican. Delfonso Daniels is a Democrat. So if you want to check them out, then we'll have Amanda Hollowell. She's also a Democrat. And then Brandon's working on the Republican to get him in here to talk about District 1. So we'll see. But once again, we appreciate you guys coming and watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.